everybody, it's me, Space Cat Little Mouse. How's it going? I'm here in Oregon with Gail, and she's the widow of Lonnie Turner from the Steve Miller Band.
It's going good. How are you?
She's the owner here. Yep. And I was checking out her wall and all these awards, a signed guitar,
You know, actually,
platinum gold albums. So tell us, Gail, tell us what it was like to be married to the Steve Miller Band.
Yeah, he was in the early Steve Miller Band, and previous to Lonnie being in the Steve Miller Band, it was the Steve Miller Blues Band.
In Chicago.
Yep.
Yeah.
Miller's from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and he was in Chicago with the Steve Miller Blues Band and all over the place. And then he migrated out to the San Francisco Bay Area, and Lonnie had gone to a club to see the Steve Miller Blues Band play over in Oakland, I think, or Berkeley, which is where Lonnie was living in Berkeley at the time with his family. He, being the really friendly guy that he was, went up to Miller after the set and introduced himself, and Miller said, yeah, I'm putting together a rock and roll band, just a Steve Miller Band, and if you know anybody that's a bass player. And of course Lonnie says, hey, I can play bass. Well, Lonnie had never played the bass, but he could play rhythm guitar, so he went home, got rid of the rhythm guitar, got himself a bass, taught himself bass within a couple of weeks. When they had their first practice for the Steve Miller Band, Steve liked the sound that Lonnie was putting out so much that he just hired him right on the spot.
They opened up for Chuck Berry.
They did open for Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley. And I was 12 years old. That was the first concert I ever went to, rock concert.
Awesome.
And my English teacher, who happened to be a childhood friend of my mother's, asked my mom if it was okay if I went with him and his son, who was a classmate of mine. And my mom said, sure. You know, we all went to the same church together and everything, so they were all friends. And so we went down to the Cow Palace in San Francisco, and we called it the Cow Palace. I don't know what it was. That's where they held all the stock auctions and stuff. We called it the Cow Palace.
Cool.
And so anyway, we went down there, and Steve Miller Band was playing with Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley, and Steve's crew, their gear got hijacked, either stolen or put by a roadie or put on a wrong plane, and Lonnie went to the NAMM show, which was the North American Music Show at the time, and Leo Fender was there showing off the new prototype Music Man bass.
Cool.
And Lonnie needed a bass, so Leo actually sold prototype number 3 to Lonnie Turner and hand set the pickups particularly for Lonnie's action and his style of playing. And all of the Book of Dreams, Fly Like an Eagle, all of the greatest hits were all recorded on that Music Man bass. And when Lonnie passed away, I gave that bass to Lonnie's son, our son John, who also plays. And so at Lonnie's memorial, he got up with that bass and played all of Lonnie's parts. First concert I went to, and Chuck Berry's bass player and maybe a couple of those other band members got thrown in jail the night before for being drunk and disorderly. So Lonnie played all of Miller's sets, ran backstage, toweled off, threw on a different shirt, ran back out, and played all of Chuck Berry's set too.
Oh, wow.
Filled in for Chuck's bass player. Lonnie was 21
was in
years
jail,
old.
huh?
Yeah, they were all sitting in jail. Lonnie was 21 years old. I was 12.
That's beautiful.
I was sitting 2 rows back, dead center, and had no idea that I was looking at my future husband.
Pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Tell us some of the other artists and musicians you've met.
Well, Boss Skaggs in particular. The first time I met him was when he was getting married for the second time. He got divorced from his first wife, and Lonnie and I were living in Calistoga, California, and Boz called us up one day and wanted us to come over to Mark West Springs to have lunch with him. And because he had some big news, so we went over there to meet him for lunch, and he let us know that he was getting married to a gal in the Napa Valley, and he's still married to her. He's got a big winery now, Boss Skaggs Winery,
Cool.
which I'm not sure what he calls it, but at any rate, But
That's
he's
pretty
doing
cool.
really well. He still plays at his little club in San Francisco, Slim's sometimes. But when Tim Davis died, he was the original drummer for the Steve Miller Band. And when Tim Davis died, Boz set up a college fund for Tim's two girls.
That's nice.
Yeah, he was a really nice guy.
Cool.
And then there's a funny story about when Boz split up from the Steve Miller Band and he was doing the whole Silk Degrees album, and they came off of a tour and the roadies were comparing notes, and all of Boz's roadies got Mercedes-Benz as a gift.
Oh my gosh.
Steve's all got either a Polaroid land camera or a belt buckle.
Oh man.
Steve Miller Band belt buckle.
Oh no. It's cool anyway, but it's
funny.
not a Mercedes-Benz, is
yeah,
it?
a
No.
Mercedes.
Paul McCartney played with the Steve Miller Band for a short time?
Well, just for one song, actually. They'd gone to, it was not too long actually after Lonnie had got together with Steve, and they decided that they would go to England to record, I think, Children of the Future. I'm not sure which album. But at any rate, Steve was wandering around the studio there, and they were recording with Glenn and Andrew Johns, the Johns brothers, who were really good friends of Lonnie's and Steve's and McCartney. And
Awesome.
They all used the Johns brothers because they were the best engineers at the time. And so they were doing some recording there, and I think the Beatles might have been recording some Abbey Road or maybe the album previous to that. And so they were in the studio too, and Miller was there also, and he was just kind of wandering around and went into a rehearsal room, and McCartney was there. But they started jamming, and they laid down some tracks for My Dark Hour. And McCartney was playing the drums and singing backup vocals to Steve Miller. And of course he had to use an alias because he was under contract with Apple, so
Okay.
he couldn't use his own name. So when you listen to that original track,
It's Paul McCartney.
it's Paul McCartney on the drums and backup
That's
vocals on My Dark Hour.
really cool.
Yeah. Well, Lonnie was pretty mild-mannered. He wasn't what you would think of as a rock star. He didn't party. He didn't do drugs. He was a family man, and he was pretty down to earth. He liked the finer things in life. He was extremely helpful and friendly. He made friends with just about everybody he met. And at his memorial service, Steve sent us this guitar that he was touring in Europe. So he sent this over, he designed the pick guard and signed that, and then at Lonnie's memorial, all of the past members of the Miller Band were there and played with our son on all of Lonnie's best hits and songs that he wrote. And they all signed it, including members from Santana and Boz Scaggs, people like that were really good friends with Lonnie that he gave a leg up to in their career, and a lot of people he launched their career, like Tommy Two-Tone. And Tommy gave a really moving eulogy. Basically, he would never have had a career if it hadn't been for Lonnie. And you know, stories in that vein.
Yeah.
People really loved him. He was a really nice guy.
I'm sorry that he passed.
Yeah.
2013.
Yep, that's okay, you know.
Yeah.
Nobody gets out alive.
And we're just gonna get in there.
Make sure to.
Lonnie, Steve Miller. We're just gonna go over some of the names here.
I'm really excited you guys got new.
Yeah, you've got Santana, Miller's band, Tommy Two-Tone, Gary Malaber. Gary Malaber was the drummer for just everybody. He played with Bruce Springsteen, Barbara, what's her name?
Where'd you, did you come from another?
Streisand.
Barbara Streisand.
Yeah, he's played for everybody.
Cool.
David Denny, he was on
David
the
Denny.
original. Yeah, he was in the original Miller Band.
Cool. Yeah, the list is pretty long of musicians
Les Lizanne.
that worked with him.
Well, if it wasn't for Lonnie, I would never have been able to keep this dispensary going. When he passed away, he left his estate to me, which included his royalty income and Brownsville, the city of Brownsville thought that they would starve me out because they didn't want a dispensary in here. And if it wasn't for Lonnie, I would not have a dispensary right now, so.
Legalization's here to stay.
Oh, yeah.
I believe that now.
Yeah, it's awesome. My nickname for him is Saint Lonnie. Thank you, Saint Lonnie.
Our national anthem has become "Fly Like an Eagle" because it's more global.
It's a really, really cool thing. This is when we got our star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Cool.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yep.
I've probably walked it.
And this is actually harder to get than all of these gold and
Yeah,
platinum
it's
albums.
the Gold
Gold
45.
45, that is the hardest thing to
Gold
get.
45. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is way cool.
Yeah, that's way
And there's
cool.
Lonnie's ASCAP membership certificates. We got accepted into ASCAP.
You were talking about before we started this that you met Hart too,
I did.
and you were working at a health food store.
Yep, I was
It's
in
pretty
Yakima.
cool.
I moved to Yakima right out of high school. I was 18. I was working in a health food store, and Hart came in looking for some health food.
Right on.
Yeah,
That's
and also looking for a restaurant because they were in town for a gig at the Yakima Speedway, and so I sold them a bunch of goods and told them where to go get some food, which happened to be the restaurant where my best friend was working, and she was so excited. I said, yeah, ask for Shelly, and so they sat in the section, and of course she stole the silverware that they ate off, being a huge Hart fan, and I didn't
Right
really think too much of it, you know.
Yeah, so many silverware.
She stole their silverware, but they gave
cool.
me tickets to their gig that night. And so later on
Awesome.
that day, I hooked up with my friend, and she said, "You'll never guess who came into my restaurant to eat." And I went, "Oh, Hart."
Yeah, that's pretty
And
cool.
Nancy Wilson, and she went, "Yeah." I said, "You want to go to a concert tonight?" They gave me tickets, and I thought she was going to have a fit, but that was a really good time.
Now, there's only one other question before we end this. Like, you own a alpaca, an alpaca llama?
Alpaca?
Alpaca. An alpaca,
Alpaca.
which is a type of llama?
They're
Is it-
related.
They're related?
Yep, llamas are bigger, alpacas are a little bit smaller, and then the vicuna is a little bit smaller than the alpaca.
So what's your alpaca's name?
Cookie,
Cookie?
Bubba, Shorty, Ziva, and Cameo.
Oh, shit, many alpacas.
Five
That's
of them.
5. Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
And then we have
Gail Turner, everybody.
Space Cat, everybody.
Space Cat Little Mouse. Thank you so much. This is really cool. And
You're
I hope
welcome.
Monk Man enjoys this. And I'm just going to say it's a tasty bit from Space Cat Little Mouse.
milk chocolate.
And-